Hi all. So today in this video we'll be covering a new topic on PyTest, and this is not specific to Playwright, but it can be combined with any other tool as well. But this feature is available with PyTest. Although we are not using exactly PyTest, but we're using um, Playwright PyTest package. But as there is PyTest, so we can use this all the features of PyTest. Okay, so we'll be talking about fixtures in PyTest. Okay, so what I mean, like there are many fixtures available, but as of now, what we will be doing will be like I mean, we'll be seeing some use cases of using fixtures. Okay, so in our tests, so where we can use these fixtures. So basically, in many in automation tests, we normally have to do some kind of prerequisites thing, and also after finishing our test we need to do some post requisites things, right? Like I mean, you might have guessed, like it is kind of setup and tear down things, right? So here with PyTest it is quite easy to do. I mean, we do not have to write two methods for setup and tear down, but instead of that, with the help of fixtures, we can use just single methods, and we can do both the things. Okay, so that we'll be seeing now. Okay, so for that, as we have currently three tests, but this is basically just example test, right? So I do not want to use this right now. Okay, so I'm just commenting it out. So one of the best way to make this test as not eligible for PyTest is just reformat it, or not reformat, it's refactor and rename, and put, just make it like it should not start with x, sorry, it should not start with test. Okay, so just putting x, so that means PyTest will not consider it as a test file. Okay, now we have this only one test file, and in that test file we have two tests, right? Okay, so what are the things both the tests are doing? So the first few things line of code, I mean the first few lines of code, right? This part, this part is almost common, right? Even the login part is also common. That also fine. But let's, for example, I mean, just assume like this four lines of code is common. Okay. Now, what we have to do, okay, and one more thing, like after that finishing the test, we have these two lines of code, right? So this is also some common codes which is available here. I mean, all the test, whatever test we'll be writing, these four lines of code should be there always. Even login should be there as well. Okay, that should be a common step as well. I'm not disagreeing. Okay, now uh, we have to create a new file. So the file name should be conf test.py. So this file name should not be changed. Okay, it should be with this name only, conf test. And here in this file, we can create a method with definition setup, and next what we can do, we can put this part. Okay, and as you can see it's giving some error, so import this name. So basically it have to import, or we can do one thing, like we can put this here, I mean here. So one moment, it's still giving some error. Why is that? So okay, so it's not getting this part, so uh, we need to take this here. Okay, and let's reformat it. Now it's fine. Okay, so this is a setup method we have just uh, created, and so this is actually containing these prerequisites things like browser is opening, context is getting created, after that page is getting created, and then it's navigating to the source demo website. Okay, so now I can remove it from here, or okay, I can remove it finally, but you can see some error is coming. No problem, we will resolve it. And here also we can remove this part because both the things are there. I mean, that's why we are reusing it, right? This code, I mean, code duplication is getting removed. So here we have created this part, so this page is getting created, but here it's still giving some error. Why is that, right? So basically, this page is not there right now, right? So we need to get this page. Page is nothing but the driver, right? Or I mean, you can just resemble it with some other automation tool. So so this page needs to be passed from this part, right? From this arguments as arguments, it should be coming here. So how can we send this page, right? So for that we can use it yield. So yield is actually here we are using Python generator. It's a concept in Python. So I'm not explaining it here, but basically it's just returning your value, and it is not exactly same as return statement, but you can for now you can assume like it is a return statement. So it is returning a value which is called page. Okay, but the difference is that after returning, normally if there is a return statement, then after that nothing would be executed, right? But here we can, once this, I mean, it is returning, I will explain it a bit more detail. So after that, it can execute the further steps as well. Okay, so it's returning here the page object or whatever you can say. So the page instance it is returning. So where it is returning, right? So you might be calling. So basically it is returning where the setup method is getting called. Okay, so whenever the setup method is be called, first this would be executed, and then this page instance would be returned. After that, it comes here, and okay, I have not done something, so you might be getting confused. So what I have to do for this one, we have to actually use PyTest fixture. Okay, so PyTest dot fixture. So we are using the PyTest fixture, right? And this setup should be coming here. And by default, if we do not mention any scope, so if you see here, if I give a bracket and if I mention scope, so you can see there is a scope is there. So by default, it is function scope. Okay, function. So we do not need to write it, but by default, this is function scope. So we need to give it double quote. Sure. Yeah, double quote. So we can give it or we can skip it as well. So let it be like that only. Okay, and here we are yielding the page. So we are yielding page here, and how it is getting called, right? So we need to pass it here, setup. Okay, so we are getting passed. So you can see this setup of function test was around valid credentials. Okay, so this is getting passed here, and no usage found. And actually this setup is currently, so first it will come here. Okay, it sees this parameter setup, so it will go here in the comp test. It will find like, okay, I have the setup method. So it goes and then it executes this all these steps, and then it is returning this page. It comes back here, and then this setup is now holding this page reference, right? I mean, okay, the page object or page instance. And now what we can do, setup equals to page, sorry, page equals to setup. Okay, so now we just provide this setup which is currently actually having this page instance, we give this to this page reference, and now we can see like this can be this now this error is getting resolved, but here still there is a error. Why is that? Because we do not need this, right? We can remove it and put it back here. So after completing this part, I mean this part, uh, this many lines of code, I mean not this many, all these lines. Okay, after that it goes back because this test is finished, right? So now the post requisite things are there, and here it comes, and these two lines will be executed. Okay, like this we need to refactor this test as well. So we can put setup. Okay, and page equals to set up. After that, uh, this part should be executed, and then it will execute all this part, and then this is not required right now, right? So you can just remove this part. So once this, after this, it will come here, and it will execute this context.close and browser.close. Okay, so this is how we can uh, do the setup and tear down. So you can see like we didn't use any tear down method separately. Okay, but using fixture, it is quite like easily you can make it, and without more number of codes, and you can reduce the number of method as well. Okay, now let's execute and check whether this is working fine. So for that I will go here, and I will write PyTest -s -v, and, and then I can mention like okay, and then I can mention this file name test01 source demo. Okay, so here I can execute a single file. Also, what I can do, I can just execute the all the test, right? There are only one test file, so the second one will not be considered because there is a X before that, before test. So I want to execute in headed mode, and let's run it. So our Chromium browser should be opened. Yes. So you can see the setup method is working fine, and then it got closed because the login scenario is that's on, I mean only that part is there, and after that it should log out and browser should be closed, right? So our two tests got passed, and this count test is working fine, right? So we just created the setup method. Actually this is not a setup method, this is setup and teardown both, so we can replace it with some different name like setup and teardown or whatever, but right now this is like that. Or we can write like yeah, set up teardown, we can write, no problem. And let's go here and replace it here. Okay, so just using one method, one setup teardown method, do we can run both the tests, right? So we just execute it -s -v, and let's execute one more time. Okay, so I hope you got the understanding of PyTest fixture. And here, as I mentioned, like this so scope is not, this scope equals to function is not mandatory to write because by default it is function scope. So function scope means this fixture, I mean this setup fixture and the tear down fixture. Okay, so this, I mean this part should be executed before one test, before sorry, before one single test. Okay, after let's say in a file there are 5 tests is there. or there are, let's say, four files, and there are each file is having five tests, right? So there are total 20 tests are there. So this part should be executed. I mean, browser should be launched before every test. Before every 20 test, each browser should be launched, and then page, I mean, this URL should be navigated to this, I mean, this URL should be launched, and then after ending this one single test, this browser should be closed. Okay, this should be happening for all the 20 tests. Now, if I make the scope from function to, let's say, session scope, and let's see what happens. So there are different scope available. You can see the documentation of PyTest. So you have got better idea. So here in this case, what happens? Like it should be executed. This I mean, I mean, browser should be launched and closed for single time. Okay, before starting the test and after completing all the test, browser should be closed. So let's see whether it's working or not, because I'm not sure whether our test has been designed like that, but maybe it will work, or maybe it will not work. Okay, but we are giving it a try. But this time we should not see two times browser is getting opened. Okay, that's the thing. So the problem is here, the URL is not getting launched. Okay, so for that, what we can do, this part needs to be removed from here. Okay, because what is happening this time, this part is working fine, browser is getting launched, and this I mean, this URL is getting launched. After that, it comes here, it's doing this performing these steps, and then this is doing the assertions. This things is fine. So we can see one pass. So this test got passed. After that, it's coming here, but this time this is not closing the browser, and it's trying to uh, do the login again. Okay, so that's the problem. So uh, what we can do, we can try one thing, like we can remove this part, and we can do the login here only, because login step is common as well. Okay, so we did the login, and after that, uh, okay, let's delete this part, and here I am deleting this part as well. So this is also not required. Product header. Okay, now if I run it, maybe it will work, may not be, but I think it will work, because this time this part will be executed. After that, it will not try to log in. So basically, it will just try to log out only. Okay, so this time I think it should pass. So it should find the burger menu, because it is logged in currently and it is in the home page. So you can see the logout is also working, and both the test passed, and the thing is, like, the browser gets launched single time and browser get closed single time. So no two things. So if you think like your test is taking too much time for opening the browser and closing the browser, that time you can use this feature of session scope and reduce the time of like opening browser and closing browser. But basically, if you wanted to make your test independent, then you should always do like each test should have this. I mean, each test should be open, browser should be opened and closed for each test. Okay, that's the best practice. Okay, and that's it. I think there are a few other scope is also available, like I think package scope. I don't know exactly remember, but I have used only these two scope, function scope and session scope. For function scope, normally do not give this. I mean, okay, let's try the function scope one without giving this part. Okay, and let's see what is happening now. So the problem, I mean, I don't, you can see like you maybe now can think about it, like what should happen here if I do not give the session scope and by default it is running in the function scope. So first time it will be executing this many parts, so login would be done. After that it comes here and it will do the assertion and pass the test. After that it comes, it should log out. Okay, after log out, it is again performing these all the steps and coming here and performing this part, logout part. So I think, yeah, it should work in the function scope as well. Yeah, you can see second time it is launching the browser and logging in, and then it should click on this burger icon and fast. So you can see this is working for both sessions and function scope. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe.